Good evening and welcome to the Living Well podcast. I want to first apologize. We had a little bit of a difficulty, and so it is okay. We are going to get this figured out and get it working here because I do not know what's happening, but whatever. I am so thankful that you guys are here today. So what Living Well stands for is the acronym is W.E.L.L. W stands for whole. That means physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and financially fit. We want to learn how to live a whole lifestyle. And the E stands for empowered. We want to be equipped with the right tools and the right connections that we need in order to live a lifestyle that is well. And the last two L's is leading with love. The importance of loving God, loving ourselves, and loving others, building relationship, building community, because I am a firm believer that we were created for community. We were created to thrive and not live in isolation. So I am so thankful for the Living Well podcast. I am your host. I am Yolanda Cooksey. I am a mindset coach which specializes in emotional and past trauma, also health and nutrition life coach. So if you need help in any of those areas, hit your girl up and we can have a conversation. If you are watching this episode live, I want you to drop an L in the comment. And if you were watching it on the replay, I want you to drop an R in the comments field. Also, too, this is a conversation. We are having discussions, we're sharing information, we're sharing stories, we're sharing experiences. So I want you to really connect with the topic that is being shared. I want you to find value in what is being provided. So if something relates to you, I want you to put, hey, I relate to that, or the word relate in the comments field. And if you find something of value, go ahead and put value in the comment field. What this does, this allows me to understand and know that, hey, I am providing value. And that is the whole purpose here. I am here to help you. I am here to help you to thrive, to help you to overcome challenges in your lives, and to provide tips and tools and resources so that you can do that. As I had mentioned last week, I'm really excited about the month of May being mental health awareness. We all go through some type of mental health. We all have experienced some type of trauma or something that has impacted our mindset, which is our thoughts, our wills, and our emotions. And so learning how to maneuver through the mental health field and the mental health conditions and everything that goes along with that is really important and really key for us to understand how to do that. So what I'm going to share tonight's topic is mind matters, how mental health shapes our relationships. Now, sometimes people don't, look at the overall picture. They don't understand how does this really, connect. And I really want to understand that. So before I get started on the topic tonight, I want to give a disclaimer because mental health is really it's a sensitive, I want to say sensitive topic. A lot of people don't like talking about mental health because it creates triggers or things will pop up in their own lives or in their own past that they may not have received healing from, and they may not want healing right now. They may not be ready for healing. But the thing is that it will create some of the information will create triggers. And what I want you to do is, if you are experiencing anything like that, I want you to stop. I want you to take a breath, and I want you to just breathe. Be present, be in the moment, and realize that you're okay and that you are not alone. My desire here is to create a safe place where we can have an authentic conversation and talk about the stigma surrounding mental health, bring awareness about the reality of mental health issues, and then, like I said, provide sources and tips and resources and support systems that are available so that you can be successful with your mental health issues. So yes, I do have some slides tonight. I want to go ahead and start sharing that. So tonight's topic, like I said, is mind matters, how mental health shapes our relationships. Maneuvering through the complexities of mental health and all of its impacts, and especially on relationships, can be very, very challenging. It is important for us to remember and to learn that to navigate the highs and the lows of mental health struggles, to understand how it can affect our connections with others, and then how we can build and maintain healthy relationships. I want to provide a platform and just provide information. Let's have a conversation so that we can reduce and minimize the stigma that's associated around mental health, and create an environment where there's more understanding, there's more empathy, so that others will really reach out and seek help. So, what I'd like to do first is start with the different types of mental health disorders, because a lot of times they'll type it, well, mental health. Well, what does that really mean? So this is not an exhaustive list, but this is a list of mental health disorders that are prevalent in the majority of people that have had these experiences. So you have mood disorders. This is where you have like depression, feelings of sadness or overwhelm or isolation. You have a lot of irritability. Your mood swing changes. You never know. Sometimes you'll wake up in the morning, especially if you're in a marriage or in a relationship with boyfriend, girlfriend, or something, and or even roommates, and you'll wake up and you never know who you're waking up to because of the difference in the mood swings and different things like that. This is also where you have like bipolar. You like one moment you're this way and the next moment you're another way. And so we really want to make sure that we understand that this can be a potential mental health issue. We want to pay attention to the signs. Another mental health issue is anxiety disorders. Now, this was something that I suffer from, the depression and anxiety. Anxiety usually covers any type of phobias, like, unresolved fears. I felt that I wasn't good enough. I felt that I was unworthy of real love. It created sometimes panic attacks, and panic attacks are real. They are attacks that in the person's mind that they believe as real, and it paralyzes them and keeps them from moving forward and completing what they need to complete. It interferes with their daily living. And then you have a social anxiety. Like, I don't know about you, like sometimes before I learned how to really communicate well, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, going around people that I didn't know was a real social anxiety for me. I would not go anywhere if I didn't have a girlfriend or I didn't have someone to go with me, because I did not want to be in a place where I didn't know anybody, because that anxiety built up, like, oh my gosh, I don't need these people, what's going to happen here? And before I knew it, my mind was just spiraling to a level that it really didn't need to go. And when I got to where we were going, I actually had a nice time, and my girlfriend ended up being off somewhere else, and I had a really nice time. But that social anxiety, those are real fears and different phobias that cause anxiety disorders. You have substance related disorders. Most common are alcohol and drugs. This is a form of self-medicating. The people experience different traumas in their life. They have unresolved trauma, healing. They have not resolved issues, and they use alcohol or drugs in order to compensate, in order to self-medicate. They don't want to feel the pain. They don't want to remember. So it's easier to stay high. It's easier to stay intoxicated, because then I just don't have to deal with it. So this is a substance related disorder of mental health. You also have personality disorders. These are disorders where it affects their thoughts, their emotions, and their behaviors, such as borderline personality disorder or narcissistic. They're always right. They know everything. They're very controlling. You have also antisocial personality disorders. So these are things that, we really, really, really need to be aware of. We need to familiarize ourselves with and understand, because we are meeting people every day. We're getting into relationships, dating relationships, friendship relationships, family relationships. And when you never know what has happened in someone's life to impact their mental state of mind and has causing all these mental health issues. And then the last two is, one is psychotic, which is actually your schizophrenia. This is an abnormal thinking pattern. And you have eating disorders or anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating. And then the last one is trauma related. This is where I mentioned, I think last week I said PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. And this can happen to anyone, even a child, even an infant. Shaken baby syndrome. All of these are exposure to traumatic events that cause mental health issues in our lives. So what we want to do is, now that I've explained, you have hopefully have a better idea of what mental health is really about. We want to look at 3 ways. I want to show you 3 ways that mental health impacts your relationships. And so the first way is through shame, through guilt, through resentment. I was in 2 abusive marital relationships. And in each of the relationships, when I had had enough, when I was bold enough to put myself and my children first, I decided to leave. The first thing that I was told was, you ain't going to do nothing without me. You're not going to be nothing without me. Both men told me this when I left. They tried to shame me of not being with them. They tried to guilt trip me into staying with them, saying that I wouldn't be anything without them. They wanted to cause resentment in my heart, because it was like I didn't know whether I should go or I should stay. The first one, I was in and out for 10 years. Simply because I didn't know. I wasn't aware that I was having a mental health crisis, that I was experiencing shame, that I was experiencing guilt, that I was experiencing resentment, and that it stemmed all the way back into my childhood. I never knew that, and never had the opportunity to resolve it until I became aware. And then I worked on building myself up, building my self-esteem, and reminding myself not only who I am, but whose I am. That I don't have to feel shame. I don't have to feel guilt. I don't have to allow other people to make me feel this way. And so if you are in a relationship where you are experiencing shame, where you're experiencing guilt, where the person is acting out in front of your friends, making you feel shameful, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, because the people are looking at you like, are you serious? You put up with this? But it's behavior that you've accepted as normal that is not normal. And so because of it, we encounter these different things. The next thing that it does is it interferes with intimacy. If you're in a marital relationship, or, some people are boyfriend, girlfriend, you're not going to feel like being intimate with someone who is making you feel this way, who treats you as if you were a piece of property, who constantly puts you down, who never says anything positive about you. How are you going to be intimate with them? And intimacy doesn't include just sex. Yes, sex is a form of intimacy. However, you can be intimate without having sexual intercourse. But that intimacy is affected when you are dealing with issues of mental health. The third one is codependent behaviors. Now, this one was something that I had to work through, because I felt like, oh, well, it was my fault. It was my fault that he hit me. If I had just done what he said, then he wouldn't have hit me. If I had just kept my mouth quiet, then I wouldn't be picking myself up off the floor. If I had done something, I ended up being a codependent for the behaviors that were not acceptable because I wasn't aware of how it was impacting my mental health. So, developing those codependent behaviors can interfere with your relationships. All of these three ways have an effect on your mental health relationship. And I came across this through, even though I've studied this and built it myself, I was also researching other information. There's a licensed marriage family therapist that I found on Psychology Today that has an amazing article about how mental health illness affects your romantic relationships. I just wanted to give relationships overall, but she specifically talks about romantic relationships. And I'll drop that in the link because it was a very, very good article. Because statistics show that hundreds of millions of people, we suffer yearly, and many more, like I said, over their lifetimes from mental health issues. It is estimated, just to give you some statistics, that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men will experience or have experienced major depression in their lives. They've also experienced other conditions such as schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Those are less common, but they have a large impact on people's lives. So we want to make sure that we are paying attention to the signs, that we are aware of the people that we are allowing in our space. I just had a conversation with a friend this morning. I was like, girlfriend, you got to put your personal boundaries up. People will treat you how you allow them to treat you. You don't have to stand for the shame and the guilt and the resentment. You don't have to stand for the codependent behaviors or thinking that it's your fault because they're behaving badly. They're behaving in a negative way. So now we've talked about the 3 ways. How do we deal with this? Here, I want to provide some tips to improve not only your mental health, but also how to improve your relationships. 1, I want you to educate yourself. It is important that you educate yourself. That means study, do your research, read, personal development, look for sound or validated information. Unfortunately, with social media, you have a lot of people who are giving information. Make sure that you do your research. Make sure that it's sound information and it's validated information that is being shared. When you educate yourself, and I have mentioned this before, knowledge is not necessarily power. Applied knowledge is power. That means commit to doing the work. And when you educate yourself, you improve your own well-being and your relationships because you recognize the signs of distress and then you know how to seek help or hopefully point the other person in, whether they're ready for help or not. The point is you need to get yourself into a safe space. But when you educate yourself, you recognize the signs and you're able to see this. The next tip is practice effective, not just communication skills. I know last week I mentioned something about communication skills, but we want to practice effective communication. I think his name, Stephen Covey, is from the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. They said it is better to understand than to be understood. So when you're practicing effective communication skills, you are listening with the intent of understanding instead of being understood. Now, this is not easy. It takes practice because generally, and I hopefully you put it in the comment. Me, I do that. When I used to get into conversations, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna listen, but I ain't hearing nothing you saying because I'm really waiting on you to stop talking so I can really get my point across. I wasn't trying to understand the other person. But when I flipped the script and really started to listening to people, to putting myself in their shoes, because we all have a story. They are experiencing life through what they went through, and I'm experiencing life through what I went through. How do I better understand? Because I'm listening and not trying to prove a point. Also, with effective listening, you want to be open, you want to be honest, and you want to be clear about what you need or expect from others. You don't want to act like something is acceptable when you know deep down it's not. No, I don't know. That behavior is not acceptable for me. Good communication not only improves productivity in work, it creates an environment for teamwork, and it gives overall satisfaction in various different aspects of our lives. So we want to make sure that we do that. The third tip is to commit to self care. Yes, I speak about this a lot. It is really important. And the Bible speaks about that. It says, love your neighbor as yourself. So that means if you're showing someone else compassion, you're showing someone else love, show yourself some compassion, show yourself some love. Make sure you're filling up your cup. Make sure you're not just always giving out, but you're also taking in. This means that we are making sure that we are, creating an environment where we can give back to other people, because we've taken care of self. We've taken care of our mindset. Like, I get up in the mornings, I do a gratitude journal. I journal, just write. Sometimes I'll just write in a journal about how I'm feeling. If it's a crappy day, I'm having a crappy day. I put whatever I'm feeling, I get it out on paper. That's self-care for me. I like to go to the gym. I actually just got back from the gym with my mom. And I was like, man, I hadn't done this in a while, and it felt so good. Making sure that I eat the right foods, making sure that I'm drinking water, making sure that I'm getting rest, setting those boundaries. That is prioritizing self-care. The next tip is seek professional help. I know that there is such a stigma around seeking professional help. People, you tell people, oh yeah, go to therapy. So it is getting better. It is getting better. I want to stop there. It is getting better. However, there has been such a stigma, and there still exists a stigma around getting therapy. Whether it's a therapist, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a life coach, seek professional help so that you can have someone that not only can hold you accountable, but that can help you maneuver through the areas that you're struggling in, because they've already come out on the other side. You don't want someone who may not have experienced what you've experienced, so they really can't comprehend or understand or have empathy for how you're feeling. But you want to seek professional help. And one thing I did was I prayed and asked God to connect me with the right person, because it wasn't everybody. Like I said, it's just like, even when you're doing the research or getting advice, you want to make sure that it's sound advice. So you want to make sure that you do that. And then have realistic expectations. Don't expect someone to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. Again, be honest. Be honest with God, be honest with yourself, and be honest with others. If you don't want to accept a certain behavior, don't accept that behavior. Set proper boundaries. Don't let people just walk all over you, disrespect you, treat you any kind of way when you know that you weren't created for that. Like I said, I will say it again. People only treat you how you allow them to treat you, because it's impacting your mental health. It's also creating stress. And when we have stress, that's where your heart disease, your high blood pressure, your diabetes, stress kills, the migraines, the headaches, the overweight, the binge eating. All of that is stress because of our mental thoughts, because of our mental health and our condition of where we are. So I want to reiterate, it's really important that we educate ourselves about what mental health really looks like, break down the stigma, and then promote understanding. We want to practice effective communication skills, which will foster healthier relationships and also address mental health concerns. We want to commit to self-care. Prioritizing mental health is self-care. and our overall well-being. And remember that seeking professional help when you need it is a sign of strength and not a sign of weakness. Having those realistic expectations about mental health and asking support from loved ones can make a significant difference in navigating through life's challenges. Also, having proper expectations of others that are going to be coming in your life. Like I said, we're not an island unto ourselves. We weren't created for isolation. So every day, whether it's through work, whether it's through family, whether it's through friends, whether it's through relationships, people are going to be coming into our lives. We want to make sure that we're in the right headspace in order to encounter these individuals, in order to properly interact with these individuals, and also to respond and not react. Everybody is not on the same page. Everybody is not on the same level when it comes to mental health. And so we showing that empathy, showing the understanding, having our own mental health and well-being where it needs to be really helps us to be able to understand each other. Like I said, if you're not sure where to start, please, 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 please feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a life coach. I have been through some things. And God has been my greatest teacher. Thank you. In addition to my field of study involving mental health, I have a BA degree in psychology, specializing in the REBT, which is the rational emotive behavioral therapy, and CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, dealing with our emotions. So if you have a question or just want to talk, please reach out to me. I will go ahead and put my link. I have a Calendly link. I'll put it in the chat so that you can go ahead and do that. And then also too, I want to share resources. I shared this last week. References, resources, how to reach out. They have mentalhealth.org, also mentalhealthamerica.org. You have the Alzheimer's Association if you're dealing with mental health of adult seniors, dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's, which is a form of dementia. You have BetterHelp, which is a online betterhelp.com online therapist session. You have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's either dial 988 or 1-800. And I'm sorry, when it comes to suicide, we really got to pay attention and watch out for our friends. Let's look out for each other and really pay attention. Sometimes, if somebody truly wants to harm themselves, they can. However, we can maybe intervene and really just reach out. Let's just, keep in touch with one another and care about people, really love on each other. You have the crisis text line, which is a text form, especially with our millennials and our younger age group. They don't want to talk over the phone. They just want to text. So, hey, you have something to text. And it's always, 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 if you feel threatened, if you feel that you are going to harm yourself or any situation that is urgent, please, please, please call 911 or get to the nearest emergency room. I just want to thank you today for joining me in the conversation today about mental health. We will be continuing next week. That will be week 3. I have not come up with a topic yet because I'm really hoping to have a special guest, and I'm waiting on them to get back with me. So I pray that you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and never forget, you are valuable, you are important, and you are needed. God bless you, and you guys have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye.